sound, show 'em how, break it down, down. Feeling so high and I'm privy to the notion. Let's ride these vibes, get this party into motion. When you're ready to fly, I'm ready to run. Free the feeling inside, let's have some fun. Symptomatic of ecstatic and supersonic joy. Unapologetic, get it, my mood can't be destroyed. So let the day and night, don't die so tight. Feeling so high and I'm privy to the notion. Let's ride these vibes, get this party into motion. Feeling so high and I'm privy to the notion. Let's ride these vibes, get this party into motion. When you're ready to fly, I'm ready to run. Free the feeling inside, let's have some fun. When you're ready to fly, I'm ready to run. Free the feeling inside, let's have some fun.
I'm focused. I've been watching for the omens. I've been listening to everything you said. It's been running through my head, locked and loaded. I got the feeling that you know it. Yeah, I've only just begun. I won't stop until it's done, till you're broken. So welcome to the fire. I'm the one with the lighter. Feel it burning through your veins as we're walking through the flames, getting higher. So welcome to the fire. Welcome to the fire. Feel it burning through your veins as we're walking through the flames, getting higher. So welcome to the fire. I've been waiting for this moment, the final battle of the chosen. See, I'm never gonna quit, got my legacy set in motion. So welcome to the fire. I'm the one with the lighter. Feel it burning through your veins as we're walking through the flames, getting higher. So welcome to the fire.
Yo! What's up, everyone? Wow, Patrick, that sounded not exciting. Not exciting. Not exciting. Matthew, there are more than one question. So there's more than one. Happy Saturday, everyone. So happy to be back. Patrick and I had to figure out how to work stuff this morning. So my iPad was still in airplane mode from when we were traveling, and so I'm like, why is this not picking up my video because I've got it on a teleprompter side setup, and I'm like, what? I'm like, oh, it's in airplane mode. Like it doesn't have network. And then Patrick wasn't working either, and he's like, oh, mine's not connected to the network either. Hey, my keyboard's not turned on. I'm like, ugh, just having to figure everything out. It's like we just haven't worked for a while. But yeah.
It's so bad.
Very cool, very cool. So, yeah, happy 4th of July, everyone in the U.S. July 4th weekend. Always a good time to have a long weekend. I always love it. Also, so the family and I were going to Australia next Wednesday. Not Australia. Ugh, Crystal wishes.
I was gonna say. Wow.
Crystal wishes that. No, Alaska. We're going to Alaska. And so Chat Master C was very nice, and she let me order a new lens, so a big lens, so we can get like good pictures of stuff. And so I showed it, and I showed my younger daughter. I was like, "Hey, look what I got!" And she's like, "Wow, that's a pretty cool thermos." And I'm like, "That's not a thermos." Patrick thought it was a thermos too. I'm like, "No, this is a lens. This is a lens. It's a big lens. I love it. Toys. So that's nice. All right. Welcome, everyone. Hopefully you had a great week or two going on. If you are new to the live stream or new to Gynacube in general, put hashtag new in the chat. We always love seeing the new faces. I've already seen a few new faces or new names that I haven't seen before. So just always love seeing that. The chat is bananas as always, so I always love seeing that. It's good stuff. Also, shout out to the members of Gynacube. We appreciate what you do here. You always help us, just support us, and like it's just always amazing to see all the support. So if you see folks with a green name or the Gynacube icon next to their name, those are the members of Gynacube, and so just thank you for all the support you've given us over the years. There are many people that have been members for a very long time, and it's very much appreciated. So if you want to learn more about it, you can check the link on the screen or just hit the join button down below just to learn more. No commitment required. Just a big thank you and shout out from us. So, all right, the news. Let's see here. So Irina is new. Jared is new. Yoquin is new. I hope I pronounced that right. Scott Porter is new. Nice. Only a couple. I thought I saw some other new names in there that were not there. Sydney new. Yes, Sydney, and you're the latest member as well, so appreciate that. Sam Bolt says me, so I'm assuming you're new, even though you didn't do hashtag new. That's all right. Karina is new as well. Jace Carr is new. Tenzin is new. Wow. All right. That's a lot of news. I like that. Bananas. All right, questions. Get your questions in the queue. Chatmaster C is standing by. Gaurav is new also. Thank you, Gaurav. Appreciate you being here. Questions. Put Q colon in front of the question to get it queued up. Chatmaster C is standing by to get it in the queue. And also, we've got the instructions pinned above. Put the Q colon in front of it. A lot of people tend to not look at that. So Darwin is new. Santosh is new. Welcome, welcome. So we have a 3 strikes rule here on Gynacube. If you spam your question, you will get put into a timeout by either Chatmaster C or one of our lovely moderators, except Patrick. So just be aware of that. 1 time is all you need. We never get through all the questions, so apologies if we don't get to yours. Come back next time, and we'll try again. It'll be amazing. Jakek is new. Kanon is new as well. Welcome, welcome. Love it, love it. All right. Patrick, are you ready?
Yes, yes.
You're ready? Because I know you're kind of, your attention is kind of diverted.
Nope, I got it.
You got it. All right.
I think.
Nice.
I think.
Right.
I think I do.
We'll see.
I think I do.
We'll see.
I think I do.
We'll see. All right, members, also hold your questions until the second half. Chatmaster C will let you know when we're ready for those, and we'll do that. All right, let's get into the questions. Matthias is up first. Oh, it's so nice to have Matthias be in the first question. I missed that. All right, can I make a Power Query function run in the service? So I think we're missing a lot of context here into what your goal is, Matthias, because in general, yes, I mean, Power Query functions can be used and they get executed as part of a Power Query query, right? And so, yes, if you refresh your data, that will, if that's being referenced, that will get executed. So from a short answer, that would, the short answer is yes. The longer answer is I need more context. So that is probably the bigger thing there. So let's see here. So going on to the next one. Also, Chewy, you asked where Mr. Powers is. He's feeling a little under the weather, so I don't expect to see him today. So it's all good. It's all good. We'll harness our inner hey Alex on our end. All right, so Hill. Let's see here. When would artifact level access workspace apps will be available, and page tab level security was announced last year at MBAS? Still awaiting. Any idea? So what I will point you to is go to my trusty links of truth, and I will put in the chat and I know people are going to get on me. I know Alex Powers put together a template app that you can go get. I don't have the link for that, for whatever reason, finding the link to that template app is just insane. But in there, I'm going to go down to see where the items are for the apps. It should be in there. What does it say? Unless they moved it. Did they move it?
I think it's out, right? It's not there.
Reports, quick measures, app versions. You're close. It's so close. So that is, let me go over to my machine. I'll show you. So in that link, when you go into the Power BI items, there's like what's new in Power BI. And so it's create Power BI app versions for different audiences. That public preview is slated for July. And what would you know? Today is July 2nd, so it must be available. No. Usually whenever I see a month listed in there, I always assume the end of the month, not the beginning of the month. So it says July. We still have a whole month ahead of us for July. So sometime this month you should see it. So that'll be... yeah, so stay tuned on that. That should be coming hopefully this month. Yeah, I'm excited. That's a big thing. That's an item that a lot of people have asked. In terms of the page level security, it was demo. I remember seeing it demoed at MBAS, or Business Application Summit, for those that don't know what MBAS is. And I don't know. It's not in the release wave notes, so I can't comment on when it's going to be available. So stay tuned on that. Keep your eye on the Power BI blog for release information, and go from there. Matthias, I see your comment there of when I said Power Query function, I meant, of course, the equal greater than. I know what a Power Query function is, and you're correct. That signals a Power Query function. And so, yeah, my answer still stands from before. I need more context to what your goal is. Yes, you can reference those in a Power Query query, and they will get executed when you go refresh your data. It's a pretty standard thing to be used. All right, let's see here. There's a lot of questions today. Miguel Martinez, not the Miguel that was, not that Miguel, different Miguel Martinez.
Okay.
What is an easy way to add a default any to a paginated report parameter with a data set created directly from Power BI?
In the report builder. I should have read ahead of that one. I could have showed.
Yeah.
I could have showed. But I mean, so when you say any though, are you just saying select all?
Yes.
Of the
it's
values
the same thing.
in the parameter?
It's the same thing.
All right. So it's just have them
Isn't there
select
like
all. You can.
So there's an option there for select all on the parameter itself, and so that would be the default route to go. Would be
to do
that.
That's the default.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's just an option
so
in Report Builder.
I wonder I don't have Report Builder installed on this
machine.
I do. So I can't. But you have a data set. You're gonna be able to connect to a data set.
I don't have any of that.
Yeah. See, that's the thing, right? And so on your parameter,
I don't know that I need to.
Install.
Hang on. Where would it be?
Under the parameter.
But like in the, hang on. Let's go to my machine.
Video. Miguel says a video.
Do a video.
Let me write that down.
So when you actually do, I'm going over to my machine, Patrick. All right. So when you create a parameter here, there's not necessarily an option there to, like, I don't see the option there.
Yeah, but see, so in the data set itself, when you create the data set,
Right.
and then you build the query, why doesn't? Because it's a new machine, Chris Finland. It's a new machine. I haven't installed everything on it yet. And so when you go into the data set and build out the query that you're going to use and you create the parameter, there's an option where you could choose everything and it should default to everything.
Hold, please. Where's my trusty adventure works?
All of this.
What? It's fine. Look, I'm even grabbing a certified data set with inside of.
Add this to the list. What's today's date? 7/2.
Yeah.
Let's add that to the list. Show how to do.
Does this work?
Select.
Shows you how long how often I go into Report Builder. Yeah, I hit Query Designer. That was probably a bad idea.
It's gonna take a little bit.
Oh my gosh, could be faster, you know. Let's just grab Sales Territory. Yeah.
I'm trying to install it right now.
It's fine. Let's put Sales Region in here. Yeah, click to execute. Does that work? Here we go. Look at that. Bananas. Look at my masterful Report Builder skills. All right. So you're saying here under dataset properties, parameters, add.
Yeah.
Where would you do it?
No. No, you should have created the parameter. This is a lot. I'll do a video. Just tell them I'll do a video. It's a lot. We got to create a parameter in the data set, and then it'll show the parameter. Then you just choose values from. I'll do a video. I promise I'll do a video.
Okay.
I promise. I wrote it down. I promise I'll do a video.
All right.
This will be a short, easy video to do.
Video to do. There you go.
Yep.
There you go, Miguel. Be on the lookout. It'll probably come out this coming week.
Yeah.
All right, Aman. When users are in multiple RLS roles, the doc.say results will be additive. Yes. It also says unpredictable. Have I misread? If not, which should I expect? I mean, it's going to be an or, right? It's a natural or when you have multiple roles that a user is assigned to. So, I mean, that's what's going to happen.
But it's like if you're in a role that can see everything, and then you're in a role that can only see, let's say, Texas, that role that's everything is going to take precedence over Texas, and you're going to see everything.
You're going to see everything.
And so and I think that's where the unpredictable comes in that. So you need to understand what's going on with that.
Yeah, so it's an or, so either of those are going to be satisfied, and you could see stuff based on that. So validate your data and validate what it is you're expecting to see versus what you're actually seeing, and play around with because essentially the role is just a filter on the data. So, yeah, hopefully that helps. I know that's actually one of the bigger confusion points with RLS that I've seen.
Have we not talked about this in a video? I think we talked about this in the RLS course. I don't think we talked about it in. Yeah, I'm telling you. Yeah,
it's been a while. I don't actually remember.
Yeah.
So Mark, you're saying so Texas and Washington won't show both. What do you mean in that context? So if I have a role that says yes, I have one role for Texas and one role for Washington, and my user's in both, I will see both Texas and Washington's data as a result of that, because it's an or. So it's this or this, which means you're going to see both. It's not an and. So an and would be it has to be Texas and Washington, which would be probably a negative on that, which means you wouldn't see anything because it's one or the other. It's not both together. So you got to understand just like bitwise logic on that. I know it's the Texas role is bigger. Yes. Stewie, I like you just publish the data for everyone. Oh my gosh. Matthias, I've seen some valid scenarios where having a user in multiple roles is valid for what they're trying to accomplish. So
Yeah.
you just got to understand what that means when you do that. Yes, Najee agrees. Texas is bigger. I agree. That's why I'm in Texas.
In SQL Server, Thomas, are you sure about that? In SQL Server, the more restrictive applies. I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know about on SQL Server. I'd have to go look. I can only comment about analysis services and Power BI. In that case, it's an or. So
Yeah, I don't know.
it also depends on how you've applied the RLS as well, right? And where you've applied that.
RLS in SQL Server. RLS in SQL Server. Yeah.
Yeah. So true story. The reason I'm in Texas is because my head is so big. It's the only state that can hold it.
Oh my God! I guess I need.
Technically,
to
Alaska can too. That's why we're going to Alaska. So because Alaska is technically bigger than Texas. So although less population. All right. Anyway. Oh, he said he fixed his issue. Look, Miguel fixed his issue. I don't know that. Oh no, that's something else. Anyway, all right. Rajesh Kar, who is new. Chatmaster C, help me. She's got to live with that. It's amazing, isn't it? I know. All right, SharePoint file. While refreshing in the service, it is showing invalid credentials, but with the same credentials as working from Power BI Desktop Refresh. Credentials provided were correct. So one thing, I don't know if this was ever fixed. I hope it was, but I don't know. This makes it sound like maybe not. So when you're going against SharePoint, you're using OData or OAuth credentials, not OData. OAuth credentials, and it's possible that the token for that timed out, so it would have worked for like a 24-hour period, and then after that it basically dies and it will start failing on the credentials. So what would be interesting there is, does it actually work? Like when you first enter the credentials and for like the first day, does it work? That would be interesting. If it does and then it stops working, it's because the auth token timed out and you got to reset it, and that's a general pain when going against that. So I know that was a limitation for a long while, and I don't know. I need to follow up actually to see if that ever got fixed. But based on what you're describing, my inclination is that it did not get fixed. So I love everyone's going off on the whole hit comment. You used to have a thing, Patrick, where you say like the doors, because your head was so big, you had to walk through the door sideways.
I gotta go like this. I have to go like this.
Rajesh Kar says it's not working from the start. I call support. Like something else is going on there if it's not working from the start. Typically what I saw, this was a while back too, so I'm hoping they fixed it, but it would work for a little bit and then would not work after that. So if you're saying it's not working from the start, I need to know what the error is, and so the best bet is call support. It should work. I don't know why it wouldn't be working. There are many people that do that.
Yeah.
The other
just hats. Okay.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. You're still going.
I was gonna be on a technical thing, an actual relevant to the question, not about the head.
I'm trying to move on past it. I'm trying to move on past the SharePoint thing.
So the SharePoint thing also be interesting. Is it on-prem SharePoint versus my context is cloud, right? So SharePoint Online, where it's going to be OAuth and go. If it's on-prem, then at that point you're going through a gateway. And there's other factors in there, whereas Power BI Desktop's going to go direct. So again, it'd be interesting to know what the error is, but I would give support a call. All right, are you ready, Patrick? Did you?
Yeah.
Anything else you wanted to?
Let's go to the next question.
All right.
Let's go to the next question.
Didier, two-parter. Power BI user profiles are numerous. And contents, blogs, trainings, videos, quality grew exponentially last years. Yeah, thank you, COVID. Second part of this, does the CAT team have a smart way to categorize user skills and or contents? No. Not a smart way. that's a stretch. Now, I've heard this come up before in the context of like center of excellence or like trying to categorize. It's a constant struggle. The big issue that I see from a content perspective, and like you're asking, what I'm assuming that you're asking about is how do users discover content that will help them for what their challenges are? Like, what are they looking for? So it's about discovery, content discovery. And the challenge is that when you have all of this content out there, you know, different blogs and videos and, you know, all these different topics and whatnot, it's like, how do you anytime you categorize that or you have a list or whatever, people are going to struggle with finding what they need. And I will tell you from like a content perspective, the actual Microsoft documentation and other things out of that, the natural habit for what people do is they go to search. And so the question there is, you know, usually they're going to go to the internet search engine of their choice, but when they go to Bing, they're going to search for what it is they're looking for. You know, so like 70 to 80% of any content that someone finds is going to come out of a search engine. And because the tolerance for scrolling through a list of items is very low if they don't find it right away. And then it comes down to like, okay, what are their search, like what is their search quality? Like, are they using the right keywords? Is the content they're looking for optimized for those keywords? So there's all sorts of factors that come into that. And Jason saying Viva Connections is meant to help solve that problem internally to companies. So what is that? Can we
They did it.
Yeah,
They
okay,
did it.
okay.
Somebody did it.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah. Wow, nice. Spam bots at its best. Yeah, that's the biggest thing is how do you implement the discovery of that? I haven't played around with the Viva connections, what Jason mentioned, so that'll be interesting. It's a typical challenge for organizations, though. Any spot on that front. So, yeah. And I will say there are a lot of discussions about that from the documentation side of it and how to do all of those items. So, yeah. All right. Let me do one thing here. Here we go. All right. Let's go to the next one. Maria. Have you ever worked with a report based on data set from goals? And what would be the best way only to get current stage color? So I know there is a data set that's created for the goals themselves. I have not personally really dug into that. So I don't know if the color is actually a field on the goal thing. I'd have to look at the schema to see what's actually available there. So the stage itself will be listed, but the color piece, I don't know if that's just additional metadata outside of the data set or if that metadata is actually, yes, I know goals got renamed to metrics.
Thank you, Thomas.
Yes, thank you, Thomas. And so it's just a question of whether that metadata is in the data set. If it's not, then I mean, it's not there. Now, the other thing you could do is potentially create like a direct query over Power BI data set and add another lookup table that says, hey, stage equals blue. But at that point, why not just filter on the stage? Yeah. Why would you do that? So yeah. All right. Hopefully that helps, Maria. All right. How are we doing on time? Oh, we still got time. All right.
6 minutes. 6 minutes.
All right, Grav. Can I implement dynamic access and top-bottom simultaneously in a single visual?
You may be able to. No. Maybe.
So it depends.
I don't know if it's.
Well, we don't know if it depends.
Because you can, with the field parameters, right? With the field parameters, the new field parameters, I can put. I'm doing it right now. Hang on 1 second. Oh, I need to bring up a different, probably a desktop. But you could, if you, with the field parameters, because in the field parameters, I could put measures and attributes in the same table, but then can I drag them? I'm about to do it. Hang on one second. Let me create one. I don't have any measures in this model. This is so sad.
Why don't you just have AdventureWorks up?
Yeah, that's so sad. So sad, Patrick.
I'm gonna make an assumption and say no.
Okay. Yeah. Keep going, and I'll let you know in a
All
second.
right. So maybe
Go to the
Gaurav,
next
we'll
question,
come
and
back
I'll
to
let
that. We'll come back to that. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Huey? I'm guessing I'm probably not pronouncing that right. Can you explain RankX with multiple categories? When I lay out data in a matrix, it acts really funny. Ooh, RankX. So first off, one thing I always do whenever there's a question about a specific DAX function is I go to the source of truth. And I am going to, so let's go here. And I'll put the link. I go over to dax.guide. So RankX. So basically it's a table. You provide the expression. Does it say anything about skip default expression is evaluated at the row context? So that may be why you're maybe because it's executed at the row context, maybe why you are seeing some unexpected behavior. So that's the bigger thing, and I think everyone's keying in on that as well. Is like, what's the actual DAX look like? Because that's going to help understand like why you're seeing the behavior that you're seeing. So from an expression perspective, you could potentially throw in different items. So, but you need to be able to know. So like, here's an example of where we've got sales amount, end levels, we're adding comments, and we're doing that based on the limit, and then we're getting the sales amount for the limit. Do we have an item here with multiple categories? Yeah. So the big thing there is going to be understanding what it is that you're actually sending. So I don't know that we can get it really in depth on the live stream right now, just because I don't know what the DAX is. But I would check out this link and go through some of the examples and see if it lines up with the DAX that you're actually using, and play around with it. Try some different things. So, all right, are you ready, Patrick?
Almost.
Did you figure it out? Did you figure it out?
I think you can do this. Keep going. I'm almost done.
All right.
You got this. You don't need me. You don't need me.
Yeah.
You got this.
Regirander Alex. What books would you recommend to someone transitioning from being the residential Excel expert to the data analyst position focused on Power BI? What books? There's a lot of. So first off, I would actually say it's not a book. If you're transitioning over to Power BI, I would go to the Learn content for Power BI. So that would be. Go put that a link for that in the chat. BI Learn. Hang on, Stewie. I'm getting there. So the Learn content would be where I would start. So like, there's intro content there to get you into it, and this intro content provides you a bunch of things. All right, Patrick figured out his thing. The intro content will get you exposed. So there's intro to DAX. There's a great visualization Learn content piece for Power BI, which I highly recommend going through it. And there's also like, so Miguel's putting out there, there's tons of videos out there for like, how to get into things. So there is lots of content from an actual book. So Igor's got the book from Phil Seamark's got a good, just getting started with DAX. He actually wrote the intro to DAX Learn content on Microsoft Learn as well. So those are things to be aware of. And then as you get more familiar, that's when you're going to want probably there's two books I'm going to recommend. I have to get them because, I haven't pulled them up. I haven't been shown in a while. So first off, understand a star schema, right? So there's guidance stock out there for star schema as well, in terms of why Power BI likes a star schema. So I would highly recommend this book. And then also, and everyone's talking about it, is The Definitive Guide to DAX. So this was done by the folks over at SQL BI, Marco Russo and Alberto Ferrari. This is a great book to have at your side to understand how Power BI and really how DAX works and with the analysis services engine. I will say don't start with this. This is very heavy. This is not for the beginner. But once you get more exposed to it, this is really good to understanding and going deeper into how things work. So, all right. All right. And Chatmaster C said she had cleared the queue. But before we switch over to member-only chat, Patrick, did you want to show what you got?
I do.
All right. This is for Gaurav's question. All right. Let's go over to Patrick's machine. Wait, you got to say it.
Let's head over to my laptop.
All right. Here we go.
All right. So check this out. This is so exciting. I've been trying to think of a video to do for this field parameter. And so he was asking on the y-axis and the x-axis, can I both have them dynamically change, right? So I created two field parameters. So check it out. So I created one for the x-axis, which is just some attributes that I want to show on the x-axis. So I created a field parameter, and maybe I'll do a video on this. And then there's a y-axis, that's where I'm gonna have my measures, right? And then on the graph itself, I put the x-axis values on there and the y-axis there. And now if I choose category, right? So you can see category, and there's my total freight amount, changing the y-axis, right? So if I choose total sales, changes it, and I change the x-axis. Yes, you can do it.
Yeah. Nice.
You can do it. This is great.
Yeah, you got your video for it. You got your video.
I do.
You've been struggling with that one for a while.
Oh, man.
All right.
All right.
All right, so we are at the halfway mark for the stream, so thank you everyone for being with us. We are transitioning over to member-only chat, so only members and moderators will be able to participate in the chat. So members, get your questions in. If you had submitted a question on the first half and we didn't get to it, apologies, we never get to all of them. So come back next time and we'll try again. And if you're not a member, you will still be able to watch the stream and learn all the great knowledge. You just won't be able to participate directly in the chat. It's one of the benefits of being a member. Again, you can check out more by hitting the join button down below, or I will put the link here in the chat so you can learn more. No commitment required, but if you are, that is something you can go check out. Also, super chats always take priority. So if you did have a burning question, we didn't get to it, go ahead and submit a super chat. When you do the super chat, just make sure you put in the question when you submit the super chat. Otherwise, you'll have to do it again. So, all right, let's get over to member only chat. Wow, and one of the benefits of being a member is you can pre-submit questions if you're at the visitor or producer tier. And we have a couple pre-submitted questions this time. So are you ready, Patrick? Yeah. Yes. Okay. So the first question, let's go. What?
Do we have permissions to show this on the stream?
Yes.
Okay, great.
All right. So the first question here, let's see if I actually got everything hooked up right. Let's see here.
Fernando said Adam created a monster.
I don't know. I don't understand what
Yes,
that
he
means. I don't understand
Talk
what that
about
means.
me.
Yeah, it's what we do. We can crank. If you ever see, sorry, I'm gonna go back to. If you ever see Patrick and like we're on the stream and he's just really quiet, he's tinkering on something. Like he's trying to do a demo. So like this member question, he was working on this as we were going through because we came up with some other idea and he was doing that during the countdown. And I'm like, all right, man, you got 10 minutes, so figure it out. Yeah, that's what we do. So all right, we love repros. We crank those out. All right, so first one, Tony. Had a pre-submitted question. Using multiple slicers for criteria based on survey results, so we're talking about surveys, they can customize different ranges or select all core competencies. I'm struggling with how to write the code, and by code we mean DAX, to dynamically change or pass the values to all the individual ranges if the all core competency slicer is used. Maybe a disconnected table? The critical piece is to ensure the selections go through all pages in the report. All right, so that was a lot. The first thing I'm going to call out here is the comment about critical that all the selections go through all the pages in the report. That's something that you can potentially handle by way of sync slicers to make sure those slicers are whatever the selection is on a slicer is represented and or synced across pages. So that's one aspect really quick. The next piece I'm going to shout out here before we go over to Patrick's amazing thing that he worked out is our friends at SQL BI. If you go to daxpatterns.com, they have a whole thing on surveys of how to handle surveys from a model perspective and from a DAX perspective. So definitely go check that out. All right, Patrick. So the big thing that you and I were talking about is like the individual items and the slicer ranges for those, like that's easy. Like and that relationships will just drive that, or DAX filter context will just drive that, and that's fine.
Yeah.
The bigger issue and what Tony was even highlighting is, well, if I choose this all core competencies, and so it's a 1 to 10 range or whatever, and if I say, look, I want every competency to be 3 to 5, like how do you handle that?
Now, I just threw this together. It took me like a few minutes. So I haven't completed the measure. But first, let's start with wait, enough of all this talking. You know what I like to do. Let's head over to my laptop.
All right.
And so the first thing is the simple one. So the multiple different. Can you see this? Is this big enough?
I mean, it's never big enough.
So the multiple different criteria. And you can see, I have one slicer. For this one, it's going to return all the 10s.
I was waiting for that.
And then,
oh my gosh.
And then the criteria for this one, and it just filters it down, right? It just filters it down, and it's a really good blog post by the SQL BI guys, of course, where they talk about or and conditions from slicers, and by default, it's an and condition. But the challenge is they want to have one slicer that drives all the conditions that drives all the conditions, right? And so I made a disconnected table. If you go over here, you'll see my all criteria, and all I did was write a little DAX because the value is always between 0 and 10. So I write a little DAX and I made this slicer. But I headed over to DAX Studio because I was doing some testing and I haven't finished the measure up, and I'll finish the measure up. But check this out. Look at this in DAX Studio. And so what I did
you need to make that bigger.
I'm mimicking that disconnected slicer. That's all I'm doing is mimicking it. Yep. And the disconnected slicer is a range of values. It's actually a table. And so I got the minimum value and the maximum value from it. So I'm saying, so you can see right here, I'm saying, give me the minimum value and the maximum value. So I just set it to 9. I hard coded it to 9 because I don't have the slicer on the report page. But this is what the report page would do. It would grab those values. So when I wrote my DAX, I would say, give me the minimum or the maximum. Making sense so far? You follow me so far?
I'm with you.
And then,
I don't know if the chat's with you, but I'm with you.
For every criteria, and this is where the challenge comes in at, and even in their DAX pattern, they talk about this. For every one of those criteria that you're going to set, and I think there were 28 of them, you need to do some logic like this. So I'm saying filter, and I'm going to keep these values, and then I'm going to filter it. And then I'm going to filter for each one. So dressings, communications, and then you can see down here, I just kind of simulated what Power BI would do and wrote evaluate, summarize columns. I returned the name. I applied those individual filters. So you would basically have 28.
You're building that out every time.
Yeah, every time. And then you could see I'm just returning those values. So you can see right now I'm hard coding this to 9, and then the maximum is 10, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to 9 and 9. And then that 10 should go away because it doesn't meet that criteria anymore, right? And so if I run this, I did something wrong.
Yeah, you did that in the wrong spot.
Wait, I did it in the wrong spot.
Good job.
In the wrong spot. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right. And now, all right, if I go here, the 10 is gone. You can see how the 10 is going. So it has to be all 9s, right? Between 0 and 9. And so that's how it works. And, but that's it. All right, that's it. It's pretty simple. And I'll send them over a measure. I'm not quite done with the measure, but I'm going to wrap this in a measure. And then you would just take that measure and add it to the table. But you got to do this for all 28 of them. Yeah. And so it took me like 3 minutes. 3 minutes with Alberto and Marco's help, though. Yeah. So there you go.
Nice. Yeah. I like it. Very cool. Yeah. All right. You feel redeemed now. You feel accomplished.
I do.
That stuff makes Patrick feel good and warm and fuzzy inside.
That's great.
All right. Here's the second one. This next one is absolutely a Patrick question. So here we go. So Matthew asks, there's a custom connector that connects to Power BI to a CRM's API that is widely used by nonprofit communities. The connector is open source, and when I got into making some adjustments, there are tables that are available from a single call endpoint within the API. So my question is, from within Power Query, how does one call a single call API from within a loaded table? So that was interesting. I'm going to go over to my machine here real quick. Let's go to, just to show, just because Patrick likes to see this kind of stuff. So I'm in VS Code, and this is the actual custom connector that they have, and the item they called out here based on the API was, where is it? It's down in like 500 something. This one right here, this constituent prospect status. And so this status itself, it's basically like a lookup table, right? So you're getting a specific value based on a specific ID. And so what they want is, like, can I pass in the ID and get the value back? So almost like a scalar value that they want to get back. Stewie, when I hear API,
yes, Stewie, yes.
I feel it's more of an Adams question.
Look at this question.
No, yeah, Patrick didn't even look at it.
Look at this question.
And so the thing here is that, yes, just call it. So this goes back to Matthias's question. I love how this just goes full circle. So Matthias asked the question early on of, like, can you call functions inside of Power Query? Yes, and that's exactly how you would answer this. And they were on the right path, right? So we're going to call we're going to wrap that API call into a function, and then add that as a, within the table itself, pass in the value, the ID value, and the value returned will be the lookup, or the actual scalar value that you were looking up. So the challenge, there's a couple of challenges here. First off, you're doing this from a custom connector and you're calling APIs. And whenever you do that, the first thing that goes into my mind is there's a high potential you could get throttled on this, because if you're doing, this is going to be called for each row, because you're basically looping through each row to call this API to get that scalar value back based on the ID for that row within the table. Now that means you're calling this API every time for every row. I don't know how many rows there are. I'm assuming based on what was there, it's probably not a lot of data. So it's not, it may not be a big deal, but that's something you need to consider, is the fact that this could be hammering that API. You could get throttled very quickly. So you just need to be mindful about that and test it out and see if that actually works okay. So that'd be the bigger thing. The other thing you could potentially do, I'd have to play around with it a little bit, because the way that Power Query works, because I'm thinking, like, can we get that lookup table in first with all the lists and then maybe do something like statically, but it's not. I think it would end up still calling those APIs depending on how it gets processed. So I'd have to play around with that. And also controlling that from a custom connector, I don't know exactly how that would work from a custom connector perspective. So those are things I would consider when doing that. Okay. That makes sense, Patrick? Anything to add there?
Oh, it's crystal clear. Crystal clear.
Yeah.
Crystal clear.
See, Alex, if Alex were here, he would have loved that question. All right.
Crystal clear.
We had one more member submitted question. This one actually is a Patrick one. So although we looked at this and it was, this was easily both an Adam and Patrick question. So I'm struggling with trying to use a date slicer to show hours scheduled versus capacity. I have a few data points that I'm referencing. Can you help point me in the right direction, or how to solve my issue, or point me to someone who can help with consulting work? So one thing I appreciate in this question is, look, I get, this may be if this is an involved question, they're getting, like, in the context of the stream, we're not going to be able to spend hours on it. And so just that point of, like, look, could you even, like, point me to, like, someone I could work with from a consulting perspective? I love that. Because they're thinking ahead on that part. So the first thing, before I'm going to let you kind of show the result of this. But one thing I want to show is just the end result here, right? And so if we go over to my machine, So the challenge that they had here was they've got these hours scheduled versus capacity hours. And the hours, they're coming from two different tables, but they're saying, look, for the hours capacity, it's just no matter what I change here in my slider. So if I change this, like these numbers, the hours schedule adjusts, right? So if I change this, this changed, Abby Baker changed. And so that's working as expected, but these capacity hours, they always show 2,106. So that's the problem, right? Does that make sense, Patrick?
Yeah.
How do we fix that?
Go to your diagram view. Let's just stay on your machine.
Oh, you're gonna walk me through the clicks.
Yeah, just go to your diagram view.
All right.
Go to your model view. Model view. I'm sorry. Go to your
Model view. All right. Bam.
Oh,
Look at that.
Oh, there's a table there called forecast capacity. I think that's the one with the capacity hours in it.
Yes.
Doesn't look like there's a relationship.
Yeah, so the
between
hours
dates.
scheduled are coming from this table, and that's being driven by the calendar table. One thing I'm going to do here, though, is I don't know why we have a bidirectional here, so let's get rid of that. We don't need that, right? And then there are a couple things here. So one is this capacity hours. There's this date range. That's just the date.
Yep.
So you're saying just do that, right? The other thing I noticed is this employee ID. You know, that's just this ID column is the employee ID. So I'm just going to add a relationship there as well.
Yep.
Right?
Boom.
Bam. Go back to our report. Ooh, they changed.
Yeah, that's
see.
it. That's it.
That's it. All right.
Yeah, that's it.
So just make sure that you've got the right relationships in there. So now one thing that they showed, one thing that Brandon showed as an example of what he was trying, so let me see if I can reproduce this, was let's get rid of that relationship. Why didn't that work? Delete. Delete. Go back. Let's make this bidirectional. This triggered me a little bit. And then he did a bidirectional here. And then another bidirectional here.
Whew.
Right? And so
see all
that's what was set up. That's what he sent in an email. And from here, he's like, look, it's not working. So the reason this doesn't work, first off, you got to understand the flow of the relationships here. Calendar is going to drive forecast teams. Then the forecast teams table based on employee is going to drive the employee ID table. Then the employee ID table based off of ID is going to drive the capacity table. The calendar value is not being passed through this relationship. So this is always going to be the full range in this case. So the thought pattern there, I'm assuming, was that the selection on this calendar piece would filter down this forecast capacity when that is not actually true. Because that's not going to flow. This is flowing by way of employee ID. And so that's why you need the direct relationship from the calendar to the forecast capacity. And then this will drive both tables. And that's how we get the right answer there. Although I got to get rid of all those bidirectional. So
Beautiful.
yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Allah, I'm not good at these names. Allah Wale. Yes, this recording will be available later. This will be available. Animal. Yeah, it'll be a
Where did you see that? I didn't even see that. Oh, there it is. Yeah.
W-A. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that, Laura. That all those bidirectionals, they triggered me. I'm like, ooh, why do we have those? Let's get rid of those first. So.
And create a relationship.
Just create let the calendar table drive those tables. That's all that was needed. It was cool.
A good indication, though, when you're looking at, visuals, if it's the same value, something's wrong with your relationships. 9 out of 10, there's something wrong with your relationship.
There's a relationship issue.
Yeah.
Patrick's the master at those.
Relationships, yeah, I am.
He's a relationship master.
All right.
So that was all the pre-submitted. You ready to go to the queue?
Yeah.
All right, Stina in Texas. What we got? What is the right way to write the DAX to get next quarter from a date that has to be referenced via use relationship?
But you can activate that relationship with use relationship, and then you can just add it.
So the user relationship reference is just part of your filter context off of calculate.
Yeah.
Right? And so the actual next quarter piece should be how you would normally do it, regardless of user relationship.
I can use date add. You can use date add, and date add has an interval of quarter. So I can go forward one. So I can say use relationship, then add my filter for date add, and then increment by 1 quarter to get the next quarter.
Is there not a time intelligence function for next quarter as well? I don't know. I don't know that off the top of my head.
I don't think there's a next.
You don't think so?
Oh, there is a next quarter.
There you go.
There's a next quarter.
I told you.
I didn't even know.
I don't know. I'm like, there's time intelligence functions. Just use that. So, next quarter. Yeah, just use that.
Next quarter.
So, but the user relationship is just going to drive which relationship we're going off of that flows. But the next quarter piece itself should always be coming off of the calendar table, right?
Yeah.
And then you have your user relationship to say, okay, which data is this actually going to filter the downstream table? That's all user relationship is doing in that context.
Oh, look, but she said she can't get the order right, and then Fernando answered. Did you sort them? So if you have a string-based value that you're trying to show, well, if she's got a string-based value, she's trying to show not the number of the quarter. So she's saying like quarter 1, quarter 2.
So we're talking about the sort order.
Like month.
Okay.
Yeah. It's the same thing.
Yeah, you've got to sort it. You've got to do the sort by. So if you go to, hang on a second. Let me go to VentureWorks. Here, let me go to my machine. It's good. All right, so if I go to my calendar table, so I have quarter here. You'll notice that I have 2 columns here. I've got quarter number, and then I've got quarter name. So the quarter is just a text value representation. So what I want to do is I want to sort this column by quarter number, right? And so the way I do that is I can highlight quarter, and then I go up to sort by column, and then I say quarter number. So quarter is going to be sorted by quarter number, and then the text representation is should be right. Oh, she's saying that she just gets a blank as her result. She wants to calculate. All right, so there's probably more to this than the base question. So
what does any of your calendar aggregations work? So if you pull date or month or anything, and then add your measure there, does any of them work? Because what I've seen is that there's a lot of you can send this.
Send a pre-submitted
There's a lot
question.
of different there's different data types that people have. Some include time, some don't include time, so the relationship doesn't work. So if you send it to us, I'm happy to take a look.
Yep. Cool. All right, Wyatt. Here's the usual version control question. Is there a version control preference for Power BI? Is it GitHub? So honestly, the state of things today, I see most people using like a SharePoint document library to drive the version control for the PBIX. You can do this with GitHub. It's just a binary file though, so you could do it there. So there's no native like version control support for Power BI. So it's really just whatever works. The SharePoint document library tends to be the easiest. What?
It depends.
It does depend. It does depend.
It does depend.
Thank you for keeping us honest there.
Yeah.
For Stina's Charlie, good point. Was the calendar table marked as a date table? So that's the only way the time intelligence functions will work. So anyway, all right. So for for the version control, just document libraries is what I typically see. But the GitHub, you can do it there. Jason's got a good comment. Use the Power BI template file for GitHub instead of the PBIX, so you're not doing the so you're not adding the data in there, so the file's not super huge. So that's good as well. So, but yeah, you can use GitHub. It works. But the challenge there is a lot of people are not inclined, especially if you're thinking about business users, they're not GitHub inclined or Git inclined, and even Patrick struggles with Git. I always.
Oh, I don't struggle with it. I just don't use it. No,
Yeah.
I don't struggle with it. I don't use it.
I love Git. I love Git. Best error you can ever get in Git is a decapitated head. It's a true story.
Why?
There was a training class I went to for GitHub, and there was like 20 of us, and the best thing ever was there was a lady in the back that was just like, she was like breaking stuff left and right, and like before we, the lady just like, I just got an error. I don't know what this means. It says decapitated head. And that's how we got into it. And the instructor was like, how did you get that? It's such an obscure thing that you have to do to get that. She got it. So, all right. Anyway, I love Git.
Matthew says he's
Matthew,
interested in
yes,
now.
decapitated head. Yes, yes. I'm speaking to Matthew now. Yes. Anyway, okay, moving on. There can be only one. Yes. Oh, Highlander for the win. GitHub is like Kerberos. I agree.
It's like Kerberos. It just works.
Yep, I agree. I agree.
That's not efficient.
All right, Paul. RLS question. Can you build RLS based on user access data in the database? What does that mean? User access data. IG, if there's a user is me at example.com, you then get a list of categories for that user from the database and then filter the data. So you could use dynamic row level security to do that. So if you have a user lookup table with relationships there that then drive access to the base data, that's dynamic row level security. So in that case, in your RLS role, you're going to be using the user principal name function. And then that should match whatever that value is, which will look like an email address. It's actually the user principal name, or UPN. Then that would match the field in that lookup table, which would be that email address that you specified. And then relationships then drive what that user can see or cannot see. So that would be where I would go there. I don't know. Are you reading anything else in that?
I can't. They've got a couple of videos out there for you to listen to.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. All right. Paul Davis. What we got? Is there a report or dashboard visual that can display the last status of an agent and update when the status changes? The status is updated in the Azure SQL Server, and I'm using direct query. Card visual?
I'm not quite sure.
Like, what do you want to
mean, the agent?
Well, so if you have an individual and they have a category of like a status.
Okay. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, there's visual. It depends on how you want to display it. If you're just looking for just that current status for that current user, yeah, it depends for sure. Card visual will do that. I just don't know how you want to visualize that. And what the
do you want
the
some
goal
kind of
is.
trigger to happen though? Are you trying to say when it changes? Do you want this thing to auto refresh? If you're in direct query mode, you can set
direct
auto page
query. So
refresh.
set the page
You can
refresh.
set auto page refresh.
Yeah, and then that'll just cycle through after so many seconds. Fernando says you can use Q&A to display a nice card. Yeah, it's still a card visual at the end. So, I just don't know what exactly you're trying to visualize there, what the goal is of showing that status. But the card visual is what screams at me right away initially on that. But yeah, definitely set the page refresh if you're in direct query, so that like if you're not in premium, it's going to be, I think, every 30 seconds is the minimum you can get down to. If you're in premium, you can go down, I think, 5 seconds.
It even does like you can do a test to check also. It'll do some checking to see how often you should refresh it. There's a little thing there. Yeah.
All right. So we're close on time. Let's see if we can get another one. Tom. All right. Well, we'll probably get 2 more. So Tom, any updates relating to source control for Power BI? No. It was just what I said before. Yeah. Nothing's changed. Keep your eye out on Power BI blog if there's any changes in the future. But right now there's nothing. So. All right. Cool. Better idea group. This will be the last question. So do you have any tools that will allow me to quickly delete out a few hundred DAX measures, or alternatively copy a bunch into a fresh Power BI file with the appropriate data model? There were a bunch of comments I saw in the chat talking about this, saying tabular editor is your friend here. And I 100% agree with that, because you can do all sorts of scripting stuff in tabular editor. I don't know if you have anything handy on that, Patrick.
I don't.
Yeah, but you can use C# code in there.
Code.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Michael Kowalski's blog, elegantbi.com, He's got a lot of so he's got different things in there that show examples of how you could do that. It's not specifically what you're doing, but also there are, I want to say he's got some stuff for like migrating some stuff from one model to another.
I think he does.
Daniel, who wrote Tabular Editor, I think he's got some examples of doing that as well as just part of Tabular Editor. So definitely Tabular Editor. ALM Toolkit, that's another one if you're actually like merging or doing things across. That's one way to do it. And then Andre's also calling out Power BI Helper. I think that's Resurred's tool, I think. I haven't played around with that one too much, so.
I tried it and I got stuck. I need to go revisit it. I tried it a while ago and I got stuck, but I'll have to go revisit it.
But yeah, the scripting, the most flexible for you is going to be actually scripting it out in Tabular Editor. You may need to leverage C# as part of that though, so you might have to write some code to like for looping and checks and things of that nature. It's not super difficult, but it does require
like
some coding. Yeah. So, but there's tons of examples out there. Like I said, go check out elegantbi.com. elegantbi.com. That's Michael Kowalski's blog. He's on the Power BI Cat team. He's got a ton of stuff on there that's like wicked cool. It's just bananas. So, all right, we made it, Patrick. Another live stream down. Another one done. So appreciate everyone being with us. Of note, like I mentioned, the family's going to Alaska next Wednesday. So next Saturday we will not have a stream because I am not confident in my internet availability out in Alaska. So it's just too far north, right? No offense to all my Canada friends.
Too far north. Too far north.
But the week after that, we'll be back for the live stream. So that'll be the next one. Any words of wisdom, Patrick?
Not today.
Not today? No words of wisdom. My word of wisdom is try it. Right? If you got questions, you're not sure how something works, try it. That's exactly what Patrick and I do. We're just gonna go try it. What happens? What's the result of it? And then let's play around with it. Everyone has like the questions, the pre-submitted ones is like, oh, I don't know. Let's go see like what happens and try out functions, see what the results are, how it performs. So that's my word of wisdom. Just give it a try. You'll be surprised what you learn. All right, everyone. Have a great rest of your weekend. For those in the U.S., have a great long weekend, and I hope your next week is productive and successful. And we will see you in 2 weeks. Later.
I'm all about your vibe. Want you to be my vice.